And thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. And, I was saying during my Lincoln Primetime News that news in Jamaica happens so fast and there's so much going on. It's easy to lose sight of some of the ongoing programs and projects that we need to talk about. One of those is constitutional reform. So we did want to revisit that in this segment of the program, or in this program, I should say. Where are we now with the process? Where are we continuing to hear some concerns raised by some of the civil society groups? Are those being addressed? And joining me in studio to discuss this, we have the chairman of LANS, Christoph Simpson, that's the Left Alliance for National Democracy and Socialism. Also have with us Dr. Nadine Spence, who is a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee, and as well the president of the Jamaica Council of Churches, Archbishop Kenneth Richards, and Michael Jackson of Jamaicans for Justice will be joining us by Zoom. Before we get to discussion, though, we ask members of the public for their views on the constitutional reform process.
They're going to parishes, but they're only going to the capital of parishes. What about people out in the rural part of the country? How do they reach them and get the message across to them?
How will it benefit the ordinary person? Will he get more pay? Will he be able to derive greater benefit from the housing trust? What will it do? Or is just to say, the Queen is no longer here and we have to do this constitutional reform? I need some more information. I'm not convinced it is an exercise worthy of its excitement.
How is it that a person in Jamaica sentenced for a crime have to send to a white country to determine if that man live or die? That in and of itself is wrong as far as the Constitution goes.
So if you really want the youngsters to know about the Constitution, you have got to start from scratch now, right? Structure the questions in the schools very different, right? Quite differently from how you have been doing it.
We should not be going overseas because that's the only way out, or this is the golden ticket for opportunity. We should be able to navigate ourselves so we can create our own opportunity on our homeland.
Okay, and some interesting points there, and I do want to put them to our guests, but first I have to start off, as I suspect Dr. Spence is expecting, with this question of bullying, because that has been the discussion for the past few days. You spoke to our colleagues on Nationwide, and you said you felt members of the committee were being bullied. You said
the committee was being bullied.
Well, let me just quote exactly what was here. You said, I feel like we're being bullied. Yeah, man, it's a heavy bullying going on. As a member of the committee, I feel bullied. Every time the committee is asked to respond to a sworn issue, and the committee responds by making sure we're listening to the people and giving them what is needed, there's always a pushback that says, okay, we're not satisfied. You went on to say, I question the motives of these people who continue to find issues. As a civil society person, I reach out to all these organizations, NIA, Advocates Network, Jamaicans for Justice. So I'm not quite sure what their issue is, and I suspect nothing we do will satisfy them. Even if we acquiesce to every demand they make, there'll be other issues that they will have. Lots of eyebrows went up at that.
But it cannot clear though.
What do you mean though?
But it's clear because
you stand by this?
Of course.
That you feel civil society is bullying you?
Yeah.
By advocating for what?
There's advocacy, and then there's bullying. There's a difference between
Tell
the
me
two.
what is the difference?
The difference between the two is exactly what I just said, Dion.
Mm-hmm.
If you have raised issues with a process and the process is attempting to address those issues, and every time those issues are addressed, then there's a pushback and there's continued, kind of expression of dissatisfaction with every response, or dissatisfaction regardless. Doesn't that sound like bullying to you? That's my opinion.
First of all, your definition of bullying is interesting. Second of all, you're operating on the premise that the committee has in fact responded to the concerns that are being addressed. And
but it's not going to necessarily respond to every concern in the way people have expressed them.
No, but that's exactly the concern that the advocacy groups have. And I mean, we have them on, so I'll go to them in just a moment. But the concern that is being expressed, so much so that one of the advocacy groups wouldn't come on the program, NIA, because they say you're accusing them of bullying, and they believe in strong advocacy. They're standing up for what they believe in, and they say they're not going to come on a program where they're going to be accused of bullying by engaging in strong advocacy. Can you see how you, as one of the nation's foremost civil society advocates for so many years, would be raising eyebrows now because your response to strong advocacy is to say
but there's a difference
bullying.
between strong advocacy and bullying, and that's a problem.
But there's absolutely
you and I disagree on that fundamental premise.
It's not just me and you, you know.
Well, whoever else disagrees, that
what in pushback, what in saying you are not addressing the concerns that are being raised, what in saying we don't agree with your response, how do you then characterize that as bullying in the civil society space?
But it's not just that, though. It's you and I know that it's been way more than that, including
you and I don't know anything of the sort.
Including some of the comments that are made that are not just about process. It's also about the members of the committee and who they are and what they're doing. And so you would have expected that if I am asked and I genuinely feel as if this is what is happening, I would say that. And I do not. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. We can disagree. It's my perspective, and I have expressed it, and I have expressed it because I'm expressing it from my conviction.
The concerns about membership, though, were not personal or invective. People objected to having 11 lawyers on an 14-member committee.
And those have been raised, and those who are...
Hold on, people objected to having Dr. Albert on the program, because on the committee, because they feel they're Jamaican and regional people who would be a better fit. People objected to not having a more diverse and inclusive representation. Again, how do you equate those concerns to bullying?
No, but those are not the concerns. Those are not the only concerns. Those are some of the concerns. And where I am concerned in terms of what power I have, those things had nothing to do with me. I was invited to the committee to sit on the committee, and I sat on the committee. The makeup of the committee, who sits on the committee, Diane, you and I know that is not for me to account for. But subsequent to those concerns being raised, you and I are very well aware that a number of other things were said. I'm not even sure if some of them were concerns, but a number of other things were said. I stopped participating on social media.
No, but you're conflating a number of different things, you know.
No, I'm not. I'm speaking about the experience that I have had as a member of the committee. And
yes,
people in Jamaica are saying that.
When you start talking about social media, you're not talking about advocacy groups.
But some of those people who attacked me on social media belong to advocacy groups.
Let me go to them, and let me start with Michael Jackson of Jamaicans for Justice. Nadine Spence doubling down, as they say, on her position that advocacy groups are bullying. Michael, your response?
You know, good night, colleagues. From JFJ, I think we maintain good collegial relationship with Dr. Spence and other members on the committee. But I must say I was quite disappointed by the utterances that were made, because I found them unfortunate and misrepresentation of what would have happened. And let me give you an example. Civil society met, and we wrote an open letter to the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs sometime in May 17th, I believe that letter was dated. That letter was responded to later on by the Permanent Secretary. And the letter wasn't fulsomely responded to, just some specific concerns to say we have developed a few minutes so far. Those minutes will be shared, and we're going to be reaching out to other agencies, not the fulsome concerns that we had. So to date, that letter has not seen sufficient response from the ministry. I don't know if that letter was shared with the broader Constitutional Reform Committee, but that is an example of the scant regard that would have been placed on agencies who have valid concerns. To the point of representation and engagement, I think we may have two different understanding on what engagement means for individuals who are representing sector groups. Now, as I said, Nadine and I personally, I would hope that we maintain a collegial relationship, because we have spoken very briefly, but that conversation was just to indicate whether or not we are available, possibly for presenting to the committee. We have not sat together as civil society through engagement from the CRC, now I'm saying, to say, what are your issues? What can I represent on your behalf? Such a discussion has not been had.
Hold that thought for me, Michael Jackson.
Can I engage
hold
to be
on for me.
the society? So meaningful engagement, Dion and listeners, have not taken shape. So when we are asking certain pertinent questions, again, I am disappointed that is seen as bullying.
Hold on, I have to go to the break. Let me just go to the break and we'll pick up there. And this is important because of the issue of engagement and moving forward on this very important issue. Remember, our hashtag is TVJ All Angles. Our WhatsApp line is 381-0072. Give us your first name, your general location. We'll soon come.